So we're on. It's happening.
Meeting is now streaming live. Got it. All right. Yeah. Welcome, everybody.
Yeah, we made it happen. We made it happen.
We are finally here.
So this is it, darling. We've been working so hard to get this up. So let's give a couple minutes and we can just have a little intro chit chat while people are kind of coming on, and yeah, go from there. So you're in Canada, right? Whereabouts?
Yes, I'm not too far from you. So I'm on the west coast of Canada and currently in Vancouver, which is where I currently live. And you're in Los Angeles, right? You just got back.
Yeah, I'm in Los Angeles.
Hey.
All right, so I'm trying to see where these comments are. Oh, there they are. Okay, good.
So I'm trying to find your, there we go. So I'm trying to find your, hi Kelly. All right. Okay, so welcome everybody. I think we're ready to start now. Thank you so much for tuning in today. We are so excited and honored to be able to present to you the Live Your Highest Truth podcast. This is something that has been in the hearts and minds of me and Maya for the last couple months, wanting to bring, safe and conscious community, a sense of belonging during these times that we're in, which are often challenging and ever-changing and expanding horizons, and that time for separation, ever-changing, expanding. Maybe put it on mute, Maya.
Yeah, I just muted it now. Started.
But yeah, I mean, just really, truly bringing a sense of community and belonging during this time, which is ever changing and ever expanding and quite intense. I think, and I can speak for, I think for everyone, when I can say it doesn't really matter what your spiritual journey is or where you are. This is an intense time for everyone, and everyone is having to drop into surrender very, very deeply. And so that's what we want to do today is, create this space. We are learning as we go. So thank you for your patience and for your grace. It's one of the reasons why we really wanted to do this live, was to make it, more authentic, to connect with you, and us to show up, as we really are.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Thank you so much for that. Yeah, I'm looking forward to this. We've been in the background plugging away. Crystal has been beautifully with setting this up for us, and yeah, we're just kind of ready to go. So I think we wanted to begin with just a drop-in meditation. Yeah.
Yes, let's do that.
For anyone watching, we want you to just kind of drop into your body. Let's close our eyes and just listen to my voice. We want you to just shake off any attachments from the day, any stress in the body, anything that's been playing on your mind that you just want to let go of. Just drop into your being and take a few deep breaths in through the nose and out through the mouth. Make a noise if you want to. Just connect with you. Let it all out. Any tension, breathe in again. Feeling any tension in your stomach or your shoulders, just let it drop away. Another deep breath. I want you to envision a beautiful pink light around your heart and feel your heart expanding in your chest. And this beautiful pink light is expanding out of your heart into your chest, out into your rib cage, out into your body, out around your body, out into your communities, out into your town, into the city that you're in. This unconditional love is expanding out into your state. Feel that energy just keep expanding from your heart to the world, all the different layers of humanity, all the way out into the universe. And just know and feel that love connecting to all that is, and just know that each of these layers and everything that this heart chakra unconditional love energy touches is you.
Mm. Beautiful.
Beautiful.
Thank you for that.
Just open your eyes when you guys are ready. Thank you all for being here. Hello, Shelley. Hi, Kim. Hi, Lara. Lovely to have you guys. So let's begin with, let's share how we kind of got connected, I guess, and kind
Yeah, I
of
love to.
had this union and this co-collaboration of hosting Live Your Highest Truth. Yeah.
Well, thank you. I mean, I can't express enough how truly, grateful I am and honored to be able to share this space with you. It's truly a dream for me in many ways, as you know my story. And so I'm grateful. I'm nervous in a good way, when that feeling you have when you realize something that you manifested is right in front of you and you're just sort of in awe, like, wow, this is really happening. So I've been feeling like that the last 24 hours, and yeah, just truly grateful. My name is Crystal Mishra. Most of you probably don't know me. You know Maya very well, but might be getting introduced to me for the first time. I have been on this spiritual journey for the last, I guess 10 plus years, very intentionally, and felt very called in the last year to devote myself to the path of self-realization and self-mastery. And I had to really dig deep as to what that meant for me. And I knew that it meant calling in people that were also on a path of self-mastery, on a continuous path of refinement, truly connecting to their deepest truths, their dharma, their purpose in this world, and living heart-centered. And I have been a lifelong, I don't even know what to call it really, but somebody who is deeply in love with Prince and his essence, and he was a big part of my childhood and me figuring out who I am as a soul. I really feel like he played a very important role during the toughest times of my life, through his art and through his music and through, just the gifts he shared with the world. And I was lucky to have met him once, which is a very deeply profound moment in my life. And last year, I remember specifically how it happened. I was reading a book by Afshin Shahidi, I hope I'm saying his name right, and it was about his experience working with Prince, and just ignited my soul. Every time I think about Prince, my soul would just be ignited. There'd just be a fire in me. And I knew that was me. It wasn't actually Prince. He was just mirroring something that was already inside of me. And I made a commitment to myself that I would figure out, what is this fire? Where is it coming from? And what does it want to express into the world? And I wanted to call in, people who were in their mastery on this path, the people who got to work with Prince and maybe understand and learn and grow from them. And it was just an intention, but it was coming from the purest place in my heart. I remember being like on my knees, like talking to God and saying, I'm definitely ready to embark on this journey. And I had no idea how that would even manifest. Really, it was just something coming from my heart. And that's all it took. I didn't have a plan. My mind was not part of this, and the universe just made things happen. I'm even looking back being like, how did this happen? But Maya and I connected over social media, and we got to know each other through that portal, and got to spend some time with each other doing some coaching. And we both had an intention to be of service to our community. And, being two women coming from various different cultures, we felt like we had a story to share, but also that we wanted to start creating some safe spaces for people of various different backgrounds, because we know, both of us working in a space of spiritual healing, there's a tremendous amount of healing that the world needs right now, and a lot of trauma is being uprooted. And so, yeah, that's kind of what birthed it. And that's my role that I'm playing here. And I'm just so grateful to just be with you, Maya, here.
Proud of you for stepping in, darling, because when did we have that first? Well, first we connected on Clubhouse. So
Yes.
we, on my Purple Light events that I was having there, Crystal was on those events with us, and, you know, we just went deep into so much beauty and manifestation and living your truth and beautiful stories. And that was targeted towards, you know, really connecting to, you know, Prince's voice and his mission and the music and, you know, lots of things that I learned from him as well. So yeah, we connected on there first, which was a lot of fun. And then we actually have a mutual friend too, which we just found out too, which is awesome. I didn't know that it was the same, that was the same person, you know. But yeah, those Clubhouse events were awesome. And then, you know, we've had that session. So that was how long ago? A couple of months ago.
Yeah, it was in the summertime. But I do have to say, I wanted to make a shout out because we both actually practice at the same yoga studio in Santa Monica called the Bhakti Yoga Shala. So shout out to the Bhakti Yoga Shala because, you know, again, that was a connection we had before we even got to know each other. So, you know, it was great to know that we had a similar community base that both resonated with us. And that was really beautiful.
Yeah, beautiful. So in our session that we had, Crystal communicated with me and shared her truth about wanting to do a podcast and become a host. And so I was like, all right, let's just do it. And it just resonated. We both were aligned with offering, you know, this space for people to come and heal and, you know, speak authentically and create community and, you know, have people's voices be heard, you know. So we're here to just offer that of a service. And for anyone that doesn't know who I am, I'll just share a little bit. There's on my platforms, but anyone that might see the footage in the future, because this is going to be posted and living on. My name's Maya McLean, and I am a spiritual life coach and healing musician, and I'm putting on retreats in Mexico. And I come from the entertainment industry, so I had my calling was always to dance with Michael Jackson, and the universe sent me to Prince. So I was a backup singer and dancer for him, worked with him for 10 years, doing backup singing, dancing, choreography, you know, everything whatever he needed to utilize me and my twin sister for. I have a twin sister, so we were like his little bookends. And we did the Super Bowl halftime show. We did Madison Square Garden. We did the O2 Arena in London, Good Morning America, Saturday Night Live, on a lot of awesome venues, and, you know, we're fully blessed to have that experience with him. We did want to dance with Michael Jackson. That was our first intention, but sometimes the universe doesn't give you exactly what you want. It gives you what you need. And I think Prince was more in alignment with, because we started singing after we were dancing, and we were dancing because we got inspired by Michael Jackson. And so I was listening to my call and my purpose to always focus on being able to manifest dancing with Michael. Now I got to meet him like 3 times, had a bunch of conversations with him. And then once I started getting to the singing, then the universe was like, okay, well, you need to be with an artist that's actually going to support all of your talents. So then when me and my sister auditioned for Prince, then that was what ended up landing. So it was awesome. Wow. So that's a bit, you know, about my story. And yeah, let's get into why we're here more for, you know, the topics and stuff, I think.
Well, I'm curious as to when your spiritual journey with coaching started. You know, you being in the entertainment industry and dancing and performing, and I'm sure being nonstop. When did you also make the shift to, like, you know, practicing yoga and diving more deep into some of the more metaphysical, spiritual components?
Yeah, it's a good question. I don't remember timelines. No. So while we were working with Prince, I started doing a lot of NLP training, neuro-linguistic programming, which is understanding your mindset and belief systems and learning how to unlock that. So I was doing a lot of that for myself. Was going through my own kind of beating myself up over my partnerships. And I felt like I was like I had my metaphor was I've got a trail of dead bodies behind me, all of my past relationships. I feel like I've hurt everyone that I'm with. So I had this a belief system around kind of judging myself for just how things turn out in life, and that led me to start doing this transformational work and really diving into my own mindset and my belief system. So doing that work just opened up so much for me on a mental level. And then I started coaching in that NLP work, which was amazing, working with participants and helping them transform and achieve their goals. And so I was doing that for like, I don't know, 6 or 7 years. And this was behind the scenes, even when I was working with Prince, which was beautiful. And I just loved the healing work and loved community and connecting and transforming in group environments. I think it's very powerful and healing when people give each other permission slips. So doing that work was like very important to me. And then I kind of came to a point where I had an energetic awakening, and I actually had a Kundalini experience, a Kundalini awakening, and that went for 48 hours. And for anyone that doesn't know what a Kundalini awakening is, I didn't even know what it was when it happened. People thought I was having a stroke or something. But yeah, it's when all your chakras align and you're connected directly to source. And so you're kind of having an awakening in that mode. Your pineal gland opens up, and you're just literally in the oneness of the universe and connecting to everything that you are. Now, my experience, I was still in the body. I wasn't astral projecting or anything, but it was like my spirit was more prominent than my body. And I was fully witnessing the experience of my thoughts. And it was hilarious. Like my body was out of control. I was laughing, it was amazing, profound experience. So that, I felt like that was a bit of an awakening that just kind of happened. I think I was in the middle of writing a song when it kind of happened. So that helped me, really understand the metaphysical world. Yeah. And then from there, it's like, I need to really tap into this. And then I started really living from my intuition. I started feeling my core, my fire, and dropping out of my mind and into my body and into my expanded energy, and being able to learn how to listen to my higher self. So going through that journey, I went on a spiritual journey for 3 years alone. I disconnected from everything. I went inward. A lot of people, it's the kind of like the Sufi journey, people say, where you're really diving deep into your own consciousness and your own awareness. And that was amazing. It was like the most free, expansive time of my life. And from going through those experiences, so much wisdom downloaded, and I'm like, I need to share this. I need to give it to people. And I started listening to mentors like Dr. Wayne Dyer and Abraham Hicks and people that I look up to in the spiritual world, and Muji, Baba. And I'm like, it feels like what they're sharing was kind of what came through my intuition. So I was like, I feel like there's like this one truth out there. Even the language is the same. And when we truly connect to who we truly are, there's this, it feels like it's very similar. So then out of that, I started creating my coaching programs and working online and working with people remotely, because people wanted to access me, and if people weren't, when I was living in LA, they couldn't get to me. So I was like, let me just work with people, from wherever, and started working with everyone all around the world, which is, amazing. So that's how I kind of started moving into that phase. And it's been the best journey ever.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. I think it's kind of interesting how, it sounds like a cliche, but everyone truly has a similar journey, in the sense where, like you live life according to all these programs and behavioral conditioning and childhood wounds, and that you think are you. And you've lived a life almost creating a persona to hide the shame and trauma that you were carrying. And then there's this perceived dark night of the soul, where you just, the weight of the persona and how trapped you are in this this image that you've created, just, it's no longer. And once you just finally are like, I'm exhausted of this role, that doesn't feel true, that doesn't feel free, then you start chipping away and expanding and diving into your shadows. You know, I always, you know, I say that most of us are actually grown adults in adult bodies, but are wounded children inside. And that's how we're just moving around in this world, you know, and until you know, do some of the inner work it takes to just like understand your patterns and your conditioning and the ancestral trauma that we're all carrying, and understand that the wounded child just needs to be reparented and healed and loved, and, you know, compassion and all those things. When you actually physically change, like your cells begin to change, and then your expression begins to change, and then you're becoming like a whole new person. And once that starts being reflected out into the electromagnetic field, you start attracting all these new things from life, you know, and that's sort of the journey of, they say, the continuous rebirth. We're continuously rebirthing and expanding, you know, different versions of ourselves as we, depending how you like to say it, I just like to say it like just slaying, you know, the ego, just slaying the trauma and the demons that are inside us. So
yeah, and it's never ending. And I love when people say, is it ever going to end? I'm like, till the grave, we're constantly, you know, peeling back the layers of the onion, and connecting to more and more of who we are.
So you came up with the name of your healing community called Live Your Highest Truth. So what does living your highest truth actually mean for you right now?
For me, living my highest truth is constantly tapping into source. Highest truth, you can use that as like tapping into your higher self, your highest truth. Now, it's not, the interpretation of high is like an interpretation, but it's really within. It's tapping into your inner self, your true essence of the energy that you are, your spiritual being that lives on even when the body dies, and being able to listen to what it's telling you and where it's guiding you to go, and letting go of the steering wheel. And the mind is the thing that wants to hang on to the steering wheel, but when we just let go, then we end up getting guided to where we need to be, and let go of those attachments. So live your highest truth, that's what it means, living in alignment with your highest truth, with your intuition, with source, being guided in your dharma, and allowing that to manifest in your world, and being that contribution for yourself and others. Because some people forget to take care of themselves when they move into a life of service, and then they leave themselves behind. And I have an analogy that I usually share with my clients. Imagine the chessboard is everyone on the earth. If you don't take care of your little pawn that's sitting there on the outside, then you're skipping something. So put yourself back on the chessboard and take care of yourself and all. You know, we're all one. It's the oneness of everything, and we can't forget about ourselves too. So everything needs to come through your own listening, and then that automatically, without effort, becomes a service to through your gifts, to be able to offer that to whoever's in need of your service. And we do it for each other, you know.
Absolutely.
Here to support each other.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, I think I remember one of my teachers used to say to me, when I was feeling an emotion, you know, something would happen, I'd be triggered and I was getting an emotional response, or I was getting paranoid about thinking about something was going to happen. Whenever I was triggered, my teacher would say, who's thinking that thought? And when I really started contemplating that question, at first I was like, I'm thinking that thought. It's bloody real for me. When I really started contemplating that and journaling, I realized a lot of that wasn't even me today. It was like a version of me from years ago that's just conditioned in my body to just react and activate the nervous system and put me in a state of anxiety and fear. And I was just paralyzed in that emotion. So I was attached to it. And once I just started realizing that that emotion, that trigger is just fleeting, it just comes and goes. And the person that I am is that conscious awareness. that's who I really am. And that person, you know, isn't hurt or triggered. That person is actually just loving. And that person is just fully present and sees with wisdom. And once I started tapping to that higher consciousness more and more, just speaking to it every day, you know, some days I couldn't find it. There were days where I'm like, I can't, I'm so in the pain body. But in the moments where I can tap into that, you know, like a practice, just like a muscle, just continuing to connect to that higher part of me, it actually heals the pain body, you know, because you realize that the pain body is activated because it's scared and wounded and it needs to be protected. And my higher self knows how to do all of that, knows how to protect, knows how to love, knows how to trust, and knows how to surrender. So that's my commitment to living your highest truth, is that when I'm triggered and wounded, you know, that's the part of me that's in fear. But my highest truth knows how to love, and knows how to love in every single circumstances. And
so let me ask you, just wanted to share what was happening behind the scenes too before we started this.
Yeah, sure.
So Crystal voiced something to me around a perception that she had with working with me. Mm-hmm. And we're here to have authentic conversations. So we're utilizing this as an opportunity for Crystal to practice being really vulnerable and authentic. So there was a perception that she had that I'll let her share around even working on this podcast and also working with me, that we ended up clearing, which is awesome. So I just kind of wanted to invite you to share what that experience was like for you and what the experience was like once we caught it and opened it up.
Well, first of all, you are incredibly patient and graceful and super supportive. But I had in my own mind, you know, this idea of you having worked with like masters, you know, like people like Prince, who I've admired, and I know that there's a certain level of perfection and a certain level of quality that you must be used to. And there was a standard that I felt like I needed to meet. And it was my own coming from my own mind, my own expectations of myself and my own assumptions. But I was definitely, as I got to work with you more and more, I started to feel like the joy was kind of slipping and the anxiety was taking over of like, don't disappoint her. And, you know, make sure you have answers to all of her questions. You know, don't be confident at all time, because if she senses that you might be nervous, she might think you're not ready, you're not prepared. And so, yeah, there was definitely.
By the way, you're never ready and you weren't ready and we're not ready now and we're in the middle of it.
Yes, exactly. But, you know, and a lot of that conditioning comes from me working primarily in a corporate culture. And you know, I would say a little bit coming from my childhood, coming from very strict parents. So, you know, the not being prepared or professional is just a form of weakness. And I've definitely been conditioned to think that through school, college, and definitely working in a corporate environment. And so it was just also cool to even see like, oh, there's still some conditioning there that you gotta unravel, because Dharma and flowing with the universe is, I'm not taking that old conditioning with me into everything that I'm trying to birth right now. It's just does not serve me. So it's actually done me a huge service, actually, to just show up completely in flow, which, you know, I actually love doing. So
it sounds fun, isn't it? Like, oh, you're just not even in your head anymore. And you just,
yeah,
this feels good, this is nice, and everything just aligns exactly how it's meant to, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It was beautiful when that came up for you, like love it.
And
there you are. And so how was it afterwards, once that came out and you distinguished it and went, oh yeah, that's just my ego mind coming in with all these projections? What was it like once?
I mean, it was wonderful because you're so graceful. But again, there is like the part of me that is still seeks like a little bit of that external validation, in the sense where it's like, is she just saying that, or does she really mean that? You know? And so, and that's just my own mind, you know, that's part of being I don't know if you can hear those noise outside, but
The mind saying, ah,
yeah.
but
that's always going to happen whenever you're embarking on a brand new chapter, when you're taking on, you're learning a new skill, when you're making that big jump in a relationship or in a career path, and you're stepping into the unknown. You want to cling to anything that seems familiar, even if it's old patterns. I mean, you'd be shocked to think that even the familiarity of that voice that says you can't do it, it's familiar, and sometimes you cling to that. And that's what the reprogramming is all about. And showing up authentically is realizing that you can't build your future by the thoughts and behaviors and emotions of your past. You know, especially unless you want to repeat the same experiences again. But to birth something, you know, as we all are birthing, requires us to now have, you know, to breathe in differently and to have different emotions and to start reprogramming, you know, our mind and our hearts.
Yeah, that's it. Got to let go of the old so we can step into the new. We don't fit in that box anymore. We can't fit into who we're expanding into being, so we just have to shed off, you know, the old caterpillar, old wings, go into the caterpillar, and then, you know, and be birthed. Let's have a look at I just want to see who's on here now and say hello to some of our beautiful guests here. Marco, hello. Thank you for tuning in. To Diana, hi from Arizona, hello. I'm in LA right now, so I'm not even in Mexico at the moment. But Billy, thank you so much for, you know, being a part of this today. I was talking to him earlier today. And Corey's on there. Hi, darling. He's in Minnesota, up there in Prince's World. And then Ashol, we love you, darling. We've got to have you in here with us soon. We'd love to have you be a part of this beautiful creation here, community. Kelly's my cousin. He's in Miami. Lara, hi, darling. Brenda, hi, beautiful. Thank you guys for joining. All right. Michelle from the Netherlands. Hi, darling. I love your little horse pictures. Nice. So yeah.
So one thing I think is important to share with everyone. I mean, today it's our first episode. We're just still in a discovery phase, and we wanted to just, you know, set the intention with everyone. But we do have very intentional topics and conversations that are close to both of our hearts, and our intention is to bring on, you know, experts, masters of people who you know, are, I would say, well versed and have a lot of wisdom in various topics, and bring them on so we can learn and share and expand. I think for both Maya and I, there's no conversation that we're not willing to have. We're both incredibly open. And so we want to be raw, we want to be vulnerable, and we want to provide value, you know. And I think we have a lot of exciting topics that's in our hearts. In some conversations that I feel, you know, people aren't having publicly. You know, we're having them privately. We're not having them publicly because sometimes they can be, you know, maybe slightly uncomfortable or controversial, but this is a space in which we want to be able to dive in. It's one of the luxuries of having a smaller platform, is we can go places here.
Yeah. So looking forward to jumping into some of the topics. And today we just really wanted to dive into authenticity for ourselves too, so we can kind of get acclimated to, you know, this new creation that we're doing, and peel off any of our inauthenticities, as well as, you know, just ask the question, how do we live more authentically and more in alignment with our authentic selves, and like what are some of the kind of tools we can use and practices to really pull back those layers and all those masks, you know, and personas, like you were sharing about. You know, you've had your corporate persona or corporate, you know, experiences that can have you show up in a certain light, you know. Or me being an entertainer, I can, you know, show up as I'm just entertaining, and then, you know, but where's Maya? And that was one of the huge things with working with Prince for me that didn't feel authentic to me too, was Prince's energy. he definitely had a persona, right? That was kind of his thing. And it's all mysterious. Like sometimes he would have like little after parties after the shows, and he would show up in one outfit and then disappear. And then we're all like, where did Prince go? And there was actually a Saturday Night Live skit about with, what was her name? There was an actress that was interacting with one of the comedians that was dressed up as Prince, and she was like, oh, it was Drew Barrymore. Where did Prince go? I was trying to figure out where he went, because he just kind of just disappears and then comes back in a new outfit. So his persona as an artist was all mysterious, and that's that was his flow and his vibe, and that's what had him be who he was. And for me, being in the way that he would create his world didn't feel authentic to me. So for me, it was like, oh, I feel like I have to act or be a certain way and show up in a certain light when working with him, which there's nothing wrong with that. It was just the environment that we can put ourselves in. So I think there's a real strength to be able to either be malleable in other people's worlds and or knowing that it's a choice, rather than okay, I'm walking into this environment and I have to be a certain way, or I just kind of flow in that way. But I know, at the end of the day, this is me, and you have a strong backbone into your own perception, so you can be all of yourself. And then if you feel like, oh, okay, this isn't for me, I'm in this environment too long and it's not for me, then how can you recreate your reality to, really move into living authentically, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think exactly as you said, everywhere around us at all times, something is penetrating our consciousness. The energy of the social media, your family, your friends, the people you're in close proximity with, their energy, the books you're reading, the music you're listening to, the food that we're eating, everything is penetrating our consciousness. And if you're not completely choosing those things consciously, they're actually imprinting on you energetically. You ever walk away from, listening to a certain song or being in someone's company and then feeling like uneasy or just depressed or down, just watching your vibration drop? That's because something else has penetrated your field and is now your energy has been affected. And it's probably what self-mastery for me has been about, is this journey of just being so conscious with everything that I choose to engage with. And as long as I have that purity of intention and I have discernment, I know that I'm also protecting myself and my boundaries. It's a lifelong lesson. And it's so easy with someone, like Prince, of that magnitude, because their vibration, their magnetism is so strong. And there's many things, it's not just people, there's systems. There are systems of oppression that actually can affect us energetically.
With Prince's energy is really powerful. So it's kind of like I call it getting sucked into the purple haze in a good way, but if you're trying to distinguish yourself. And for me, I've always, because I grew up as a twin, I've never been distinct, because I was born, I had a roommate, my twin sister, Mandy. So we were roommates together. So for me, the codependency of that was kind of didn't have me able to distinguish who I am on my own. What does Maya want? What's the decisions I want to make? How do I really feel into that? So once I started getting onto that journey, and you can have these codependencies with your family, with your kids, being a mum, mothers especially. I have a lot of clients that are mums that are like, their kids just left and they don't know who they are anymore because they've been in the mother mode and they have to recreate themselves and rediscover themselves, partners, relationships. There's lots of ways that we can be, codependent and separate from ourselves. So being able to distinguish that is like very important. And some of the ways that I share with my clients and that I also practice myself is knowing that I have a safe space to go to for myself, with a door that shuts for me, because when you embark on this intuitive journey and becoming more of an empath, you don't have boundaries anymore because you're so connected to everyone else. Now, I have a split mind between the term boundaries because it feels like you have to protect yourself, right? So I feel like it's a good practice when you need it, but being able to become so masterful in your own listening that you don't need boundaries because you're just powerful in yourself, that it's naturally, you're kind of going to have this natural aura where, you know, everything maneuvers around you because you're so solid in yourself, right? But as you're practicing moving into that intuitive state, you can become very vulnerable. And sometimes you need a safe space to go, like your little sacred space, a little altar or candles, or somewhere where you do yoga and meditation, or, you know, a place in the park that you go to. So it's really important when you're on this journey to, you know, to really honor where you're at to, and not try to jump ahead, because we do that. Oh, why am I so sensitive? I started crying when I started getting into this work, and I was healing all of my meridian channels, and I'm all, you know, being really sensitive, crying at commercials, and, you know, but really crying, wailing kind of thing. And my partner used to say things about, I didn't get, what is that? I said, I worked hard to get here. I was a robot before. Like, really funny. So, you know, there's so much, it's a beautiful journey as long as we honor where we are, then, you know, and just being practicing and staying present, and then it's, you know, it's a really powerful place.
Well, you said something really important that I want to expand on, because the, you know, water holds memory. Water has a frequency and it has codes, and our bodies are made up of water. So we were talking about this. It's a topic I'm very passionate about. I definitely like to dedicate an entire podcast episode to it, because the tears that you're crying are old codes, you know, old programming that you're releasing from your body. And that's why it's so cleansing to sweat, you know, sweat lodges, and to cry. That water is, you know, old trauma that's actually leaving your body. It's a very, very sacred practice. And most of us are not quite aware of how absolutely intelligent the body is. So yeah, when we feel those emotions and we start suppressing them down, we're keeping ourselves locked in that trauma even more, you know. So that expression, that authentic expression of just your body needs to cry, your body needs to move, and needs to dance. You've got to honor that, because it knows what it needs to do to heal and to open up. So I'm really glad that you say that, because I'm a crier, but even that wisdom of the practice of crying, of escapes me sometimes because I'm just caught up in the emotion. But just understanding that this is actually healing and cleansing. You know?
Yeah, because people view crying as a weakness. That's the story around, oh, you're weak if you cry, blah 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 blah. No, you're actually
chaotic, right? Like you know, the mask.
Oh yeah, emotional.
Yeah, it's chaotic.
Your hormone and your PMS and all this kind of stuff, and then especially in corporate too, if you've been in that world, and then you're showing up like more of the masculine, and you can't have emotions and all that kind of stuff.
I abolished in my job. I've cried many times in the workplace, and I have absolutely no regrets about it. It's, you know, I've seen men in the workplace be angry and swear and be passive aggressive and manipulative. None of that is acceptable. So if you cry out of a raw emotion because you genuinely care, that is perfectly okay. Like, there's a lot of toxic corporate behaviors that I just want to abolish, because there's just no place for it as we're moving forward. You know, there's no place for us to identify emotions and then, you know, calling people weak. I mean, that's like the weakest thing ever, is to just judge someone, you know, truly. So,
and really strength to be able to let yourself cry. If you hold it back, that's more of a weakness, because you're not able to even access all of who you are. So you're just being limited.
And crying. The heaviness. You know, I love that you shared about your Kundalini awakening, because while I haven't had exactly that experience, Kundalini awakening, for people who might not be aware, you know, there's a reservoir of creative life force energy that's actually coiled around at the base of the spine. And there are many yogic techniques, you know, Kriya yoga, for one example, but there's many different yoga systems that actually work to, you know, opening up the body and aligning the spine in a way so that that life force energy can come up. And, many mystics and yogis say that, when that life force arises, it's our perception of the world, our creative energy, the genius codes that are locked in the body, just, they start getting unlocked. And that's when you really tap into these so-called supernatural kind of gifts. And so when you're in that state, if you're blessed enough to have encountered that state, I mean, you feel so light. The density of the body just washes away, and you are like the sense of clarity and a sense of lightness of being, and you start seeing the world in this like, omnipresent way. Once you've had a glimpse of that, it's so heavy to come back into the body and feel the weight of the pain and the suffering, and I mean, if you just have a glimpse of that, you just want to dedicate your life to just feeling light and just experiencing joy, like I know for me, I'm exhausted of feeling depressed. I have no interest in giving that any more energy. It's like I'm done playing.
We've got to go through that though too. We're always going to go through that. I was crying last night on the couch with my sister, releasing old energy.
Yeah.
And then I woke up refreshed.
There's one thing about, being a victim versus taking that victim consciousness with you and everything else that you create, and that's the differentiator. It's like, feel the pain, but don't identify with it, and take it with you into every relationship, into everything you're birthing, try. And if you need help, I mean, this is what this space is about, asking questions. This is, something that I think is really important to us, is people feel like this is a place for family. This is not going to be just me and Maya, just, ego tripping and talking to each other. We want to make sure.
Speaking of family, my sister's in here too.
Great. Yes.
Her name's Astaria Hughes. Her old name used to be Catherine, but when she's moved through her awakening, she shifted her name into Astaria. So she's on there. Anyone that sees her, you can tap in and connect with my sister in Australia. She's awesome.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anyone who has questions, please feel free to share it. If we have suggestions for topics, if there's any guests that you feel called, that you want to, or topics that you want to explore, please share it with us, because this is.
Or any guests that you want us to bring on too, we're open to receiving, anyone. Huh? What'd you say?
I said we'll do our best to call them in. I have like
just manifest whoever it is and have to be what it,
I certainly have in which I'm going to share with you after this, a dream of people that I would love to share this space with, and call them.
I need to share it right now. A couple of them. Everyone help bring their manifestation energy, right, guys? Brenda and Kelly, and let's all support Crystal in bring forth. So just share. You can share a couple.
Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you. Yeah, I guess so. I mean, one thing that is very, very close to my heart is plant medicine and plant healing. For me, I think that we have the capacity to self-heal, and I feel all the medicine that we need is truly available through nature. Not all, but I mean a vast amount. And so any shamans or experts in herbal healing, mushrooms, water. I mean, these are there's so much indigenous wisdom that needs to be explored. So I would love to call on any indigenous, shamans to be able to come in here and share their wisdom. For me, I'm on this path of just connecting to the ancestors and really learning from them. So that's something that I feel very, very close to my heart. I don't want that wisdom to just like fall to the wayside, as we've all been, indoctrinated and colonized by like the Western way of healing. I think that this is the time to really, educate ourselves on how to self-heal. And, deep philosophers and thinkers, like I love, oh my gosh, now I'm getting all nervous that you're putting me. But there's a few people. We can share it later.
Just withholding now, so we should do one on manifestation though, for sure. I think definitely on manifestation, where everyone in the room can start putting forth what they want to manifest, you know, in 2022 or even tomorrow, whatever that is going to be. That's a new practice that I'm moving into. It's kind of been coming up the last week where I haven't manifested. My practices have been listening to my intuition and following my highest excitement, which is what I share through my programs and my coaching and support people in that. So I feel like I've definitely mastered that. But when it comes to like a vision or you know, something that I foresee that's very clear rather than just allowing kind of thing, I haven't done that. And I've always had attachment. I've got a lot of masculine energy in there that can just kind of latch on like a what do you call it? No, just kind of like that energy as soon as I envision something kind of thing. So now I move with that energy, and so I've been practicing that the last couple of weeks, and it's awesome. And it sounds like, why haven't I done this before? Like I've been living in this world, but there's always new, you know, new spaces to learn from and going, oh, I haven't focused in on that one. So many healing modalities and ways to connect. So exciting. Manifestation.
I love that. Oh, we can end this live with this quick tidbit because it was something that a friend made me realize, and I'm so grateful. You know, I've always had this idealized version of myself. You know, how, the version of me that would exist if all the conditions in life were working out perfectly. And I would think about her, like, you know, all the time, especially when I was younger, when I was really feeling down. And I would really go there in my emotions and think about, like, how would I move and how would I talk if all these aspects of my life were flowing right and I was confident. And slowly I started to become her, you know, regardless of whether those conditions were happening. I started to move like her and talk like her. And I eventually started to become that version of myself that I always wanted to be. And one thing that my friend made me realize is that that version of ourselves that we perceive is not somewhere out there in the future. You know, the more confident us, the more loving us, the more forgiving us, the version of us that has a great body or all the talent and all the money and the skills, that's not something that exists outside. You literally birth it from the inside, you know, and that's like a practice of just like tapping into, like, what would I breathe like if all the conditions in my life were working out the way I wanted? You know, what would what would my voice sound like? How would I move in this body? And if you can just make that become a practice, you become that, and then your life circumstances start matching up. And that was something that really
experiential, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You're tapping into the experience of the energy and the frequency that you want to manifest.
Yeah,
so
it's universal law. This isn't, manifestation is not something that, you know, is like, oh, some people believe in, because it's a real thing. It's universal law that the universe is always matching your energy. And unless you fully, authentically know yourself and and are aware of the expression that you're putting out there, you're always going to be kind of like, you know, confused or kind of disappointed by maybe what life throws at you. But once it's like really intentional, it's like, wow, you're just in a constant state of awe. And if it ever feels uncomfortable, or, you know, temporarily things don't go your way, you're not like, you don't just fall in this depression. You have this inner wisdom that's like, okay, I don't have all the answers. I'm going to let life surprise me, you know, and just let the unknown sort of unfold and manifest. But that trust,
the balance of aligning the frequency, right? Your vibrational state, and experiencing that, what, you know, the law of attraction of what you want to bring in, as well as surrendering and allowing. So it feels like there's like this duality happening there.
Yeah.
Practices.
Do you want to talk very quickly, because I think people don't always, you know, understand, is the purity of intention is very key as well. You know, if you want to
thoughts, vibrations,
yeah,
that's what Abraham Hicks talks about. You can't have any conflicting ideals or, you know, thought processes or doubt inside of the manifestation space or the vortex, she says.
Yeah.
Tap into you know, the purity of it. And that's why the practice of following your highest excitement or listening to that high vibrational state and experiencing that feeling, it cuts out any doubt, because there's no, inside of that high frequency, there's no room for doubt. So that's why that's such a beautiful practice that I've lived for the last couple of years, and that I loved sharing with everyone. Is just, it's so easy. It's like, oh, let me just tap into what feels good, what feels exciting right now, and then move in that. Oh, that feels off. I'm not going to go in that direction. Well, this one feels good. And Abraham uses, the path of least resistance, or let's get off the topic. If that's not flowing, let's get off the topic. And I have a habit of staying on the topic a lot with things when I'm like, that's when I go to that manifestation, I can see the vision, and then I can stay on the topic too long, and then I push in, and then I'm like, oh, this isn't working. And I go, yep, I've been on the topic too long, let me get off.
Yeah.
And then let some space and, allow it to flow.
Yeah. And, the universe doesn't hear your words. It feels into it responds to how you're feeling. So if you're like, oh yeah, like I feel great, but your body is like, not feeling that way, it's going to receive a conflicting message, and it's probably going to respond directly to what you're actually, the emotions, emotions are energy in motion. That's why we always want to be very mindful of what the body's feeling. So
beautiful. So, I wanted to just check in on anyone. Does anyone have anything to share? Any topics that they'd like us to share for future podcasts, or any guests that you'd like to see on the podcast? You can type that stuff in now. I think I just saw Brenda. Yes, law of attraction. Love it. And then Lara mentioned Chris Bale. Have you heard of him? She said he's another spiritual healer and teacher. He's amazing. I'd love him on the show.
Yes.
I don't know if I've heard of him. I'm really horrible with names too, so you can look him up and see whether we can bring.
There's a lot.
Yeah.
And maybe you can add your email as well. So if anyone has any ideas, they can always contact us that way.
You can just message me here on Facebook too.
Yep.
If it's on YouTube, or maybe we can just put like links in there for people as well.
Yeah,
something like that. But people can also message in the comments anything that they want, and we can pull it from there.
Yeah, and you can also add my Instagram as well.
So feel free to reach out to me or Crystal. We're open. We're an opening for you with support, with anything you guys need on anything we've been discussing today. Crystal's actually studied the Gene Keys. She's a practitioner and helps people through that. And I'm sure we can have a whole topic on that one too, so you can learn about it too.
Yeah.
We're running out of time here, but I'd love to learn more, because I'm not even that clear on what that is. So I'm so excited. We've got so much to learn together.
Yes.
We're going to be downloading so much knowledge with all these speakers and conversations and guests, and love it. So Marco said, shout out to upcoming retreat 2 in March. Oh, yes. I have a retreat coming up in March. So, check out my page, and I can definitely share more about that in one of the next podcasts to share more details. So anyone that wants to get out of the system and just move into a fully safe incubation space in the Mayan jungle, we have some beautiful practices and healing ceremonies and coaching, and it's just going to be really magical. So looking forward to that. So check out my pages as well. You'll see all the information there, and we can dive deeper on that as well in our next podcast potentially. Kelly said, I would love to see Jewel Blunt on here. Yes, Jewel. I haven't connected with her in so long. I feel like our energy's been missing each other. She's a beautiful intuitive that, we'll definitely consider her as well. I love it. Her gifts are magical. I love it. I'm a full-on advocate and support for her medicine. But yeah, do you have any final words or anything that you'd like to share before we wrap up here?
I think just like a deep gratitude for everyone who's connecting either live or watching this afterwards, and just reinforcing that this is like a space for family, for community, for tribe, to congregate That's our intention with this. And in the process, expand our consciousness, heal, support each other. And we're birthing this as we go. So just thank you for, also your patience as, we're still in the flow of birthing, what this podcast is actually going to mean to us. But yeah, thank you so much for tuning in.
Yeah. Thank you so much, everyone who came today, and we loved having you here and seeing your little comments in the feed. Thank you, for my sister for tapping into this, and maybe we can have her pop one day. She's got a beautiful story as well. Ashol, Shirley, Brenda, thank you all so much for being here. Marco, it's been awesome. So we'll see you guys next time. Thank you so much, Crystal. It's been beautiful to host with you, and looking forward to the next one.